And finally, at long last, Jane is done. Hi, I'm Melba Pearson, also known as the Resident Legal Diva, and it's time for another Daily Diddy, bringing you Daily Diddy updates until we get a verdict in the P. Diddy trial. So Jane has finished, woof, and boy, did she get cross examined like there was no tomorrow. But she did finish her testimony today. Some in substance, the defense really went hard on the fact that she got a lot of money from Diddy over the course of their relationship, something along the tune to the tune of $150,000 plus the free rent plus gifts. So they were like, listen, you were doing this consensually because you were getting all kinds of good stuff out of it, right? And she kept saying over and over again, like, listen, I really loved him. This was a relationship, and I was just doing all of this to make him happy. So, there's that. The defense pointed to a number of times when she initiated the freak offs. They went into detail with text messages and voicemails and voice notes and stuff that were traded between the two of them, trying to make it seem like, listen, this was a not normal, I mean, I don't know that you can argue this is a normal relationship, but that this was a relationship and it was two parties that were doing everything consensually and willingly. They even pointed to the fact, which I think is hella stupid, but whatever, that, you had an argument with Diddy and he didn't beat you that time, right? It was only the once, that kind of thing. And I'm like, dude, how many times did you beat your girlfriend is never an argument, okay? So there's that. But still, they did score points in terms of really hitting her credibility, in terms of the fact, like, hey, you were there willingly. You could have walked away. You could have made other choices. You had all of this money that he was giving you. You could have walked away, but you chose to do it just so you can get more money. So the flip side of that, of course, and that's what the prosecution did when they got their opportunity on redirect, was to be like, listen, if even though you loved him and everything like that, how many times did you tell him you did not want to do these hotel nights / freak offs? And she kept saying over and over again, I told him that I didn't want to do it. And he kept throwing in my face, if you don't do this, I'm not going to pay your rent anymore, and basically you and your kid will be out on the street. So, okay, again, that is a form of coercion, right? That financial control aspect. And again, if you look at this through the lens of a domestic violence relationship, right? Even though it wasn't always beatings, it was emotional manipulation. There was, the threat of, hey, if you don't do this, I'm going to withhold from you. So the financial aspect, keeping her dependent, that sort of thing. So again, at the end of the day, she gets this drug trafficking. She does get us closer to the racketeering charge. So we're almost at the end with Jane's testimony of the prosecution's case. They are anticipating that they may finish their case as soon as next Wednesday or as late as next Friday, which then gets us to the defense case. That is probably anticipated to be about a week or so. So I think we're still on schedule for closing arguments by June 30th or so, and a verdict by July 4th weekend, maybe a little sooner. And the prosecution said that they're condensing their case, so they're cutting a lot of witnesses and just trying to move things along. I agree with that because I think, they already kind of proved their main points, in my opinion, in terms of, you've got the predicate charges that's needed for racketeering, kidnapping, arson, forced labor, all of that. You've got some stuff towards sex trafficking. And of course, you have travel for the purposes of prostitution. So all of that's covered. All right. See y'all again tomorrow. Bye.